Okay guys, welcome to Rampant Lion Reviews once again with me, James. For this one, we are going to head over to America once again for another beer review. We're going to Pennsylvania and we're returning to Victory Brewing Company. This is maybe my fifth review from these guys or so, but since it's a Pennsylvania beer, of course, we'll give a shout out to Paul over at PA Brew News. He's got a really nice channel, so make sure you check him out. He's an absolutely mad bastard, so you'll always get a good laugh with his reviews, and he knows his stuff. But we're going to have a look at Victory Brewing Company's 21st birthday IPA today, which should be quite nice. This guy got an 89 overall on Rate Beer, and I think it was an 83 within the style, but we know Victory Brewing Company are a very solid brewery, so pretty much anything you get from these guys is going to be pretty good. So looking forward to this one, and as always, I hope you guys enjoy my review. But anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews I've done from Victory Brewing before. No doubt I will add more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the beers reviewed from America for you. That's constantly being added to. If you're particularly interested in Pennsylvania beers, Paul over at PA Brew News is a good channel to check out, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Victory Brewing Company then. So as I've told you before, Victory Brewing Company is based in Downington, Pennsylvania, which is about 30 miles from Philadelphia. So the company was founded by two friends. This is Ron Barcha and Bill Kovalevsky, and they've been friends since 1973 when they were in the 5th grade together. And apparently they remained very good friends despite going to university on opposite coasts of the United States. But a few months after finishing university, Bill's interest in beer and also access to his father's home brewing equipment really prompted him to further explore this hobby. So in 1985 he gave Ron a home brewing kit as a Christmas present, and over time they gradually grew sick of their jobs in the corporate world, and they decided that they wanted to carve a career for themselves as brewers. So Ron quit his job as a financial analyst and began an apprenticeship at the Baltimore Brewing Company, working under Dutch-born German-trained brewer Theo de Groen, and after working here for a year he moved to the Technical University of Munich at Weihenstephan, a very famous brewing school, of course home to the world's oldest brewery. So as Ron departed for Germany, Bill immediately took over Ron's role in Baltimore, and following this year in Baltimore, Bill actually travelled to Munich in Germany to study at the Dohmans Institute, another very famous brewing school actually. But Ron returned to the US after a year of study in Germany, and he took up a role at Old Dominion Brewing Company in Virginia, where he spent 4 years as brewmaster. But with all this knowledge, they decided that they wanted to start a brewery for themselves, and they settled on Pennsylvania for the location, which of course was where they first met. So Victory Brewing Company opened to the public on the 15th of February 1996, and they converted a former Pepperidge Farm factory into a 144-seater restaurant with a full-scale brewery, and in that first year of operation they brewed about 1,725 barrels of beer. And over the last few years, of course, they've expanded the size of the restaurant and also the capacity of the brewery as well, and they're producing well over 100,000 barrels of beer these days. So they're a fairly big operation. I think they're maybe one of the bigger breweries actually over in the US at the moment, and of course it's one of the more common ones that we find over here in Europe from America. I think it's actually the only Pennsylvania brewery that we get fairly easily over here in Sweden at least, and it's the same back home in Scotland too. But they've got a wide range of different beers, and the Prima Pils is one that I always liked as well. So they've got a whole host of different things. As I always say, check out the brewery website in the description below and you can have a look at the other beers that they do. And basically with this brewery, they are pretty good, so just pick a style that you like and I'm sure you will quite enjoy their take on it. So yeah, that's enough about the brewery just now. We'll get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So this one is a 6.1% IPA. The hop base on this one, they've used Chinook, Centennial and Mosaic with a Carapils and Pilsner malt base on this one. Like I said, it got an 89 overall on Rate Beer, and I think it was an 83 within the style, so it should be a pretty nice beer, this one. I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork before we open this up, of course. But there you can see it's got the typical, this is the kind of V for Victory up there on the top, and the artwork is the kind of typical cartoony style that you get from Victory Brewing, and there of course is the bottle cap on this one. So nicely presented beer, as we always get. There's the import sticker on the back of course of this one. This one was brought into Sweden by Great Brands AB. So yeah, 355ml bottle. This one of course I think that's 7 fluid ounces. I never understand the American measurements of liquid. I never understand why they don't just use millilitres like everybody else, but hey ho. But yeah, you can smell some of the nice fruity characters on this beer as you open it up. It's the mosaic that's coming out of this one quite readily. But that's a crystal clear beer, just look at that. There's one or two little chunky bits in there. You can see just one or two little bits of sediment. I maybe should have been a bit more careful in the pour right enough, but sediment's not such a thing. Beer of course is pretty much all natural, so it's not bad for you. Usually it can add a little bit, but as you can see this beer's poured a really kind of, I think it's fair to say this is a kind of pale golden straw colour, this one. There's a finger and a half of a frothy white head on here, but it looks very nice, as you can see, crystal clear. There's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. There's a few little bits of sediment in there at the bottom. There's quite a few little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head, but overall it looks really nice. If I was kind of just blindly looking at this one, I might have guessed it was like a Pils or something like that, just because of the colour and the fact that it is really quite clear. But overall, a really nice looking beer. So let's check out the aroma then and see how we get on. Ooh, that's nice. For me, it really is the mosaic that's coming out of this one. So like I said, Chinook, Centennial and Mosaic. And I would guess probably that they've maybe used the Chinook and the Centennial perhaps as the bittering hops. And the reason I say that is because it really, for me, the sort of tangerine orangey qualities that you get out of this one, those are the ones that are really kind of coming to the fore. So probably they've been used as like the late boil hop or the aroma hops, and the other two have been used as the bittering hops. But really it's a tangerine orange in this one. You can get a little bit of a sort of grapefruity thing out of this beer, which is, you'd expect a little bit of grapefruit and sort of floral aromaticity from the Chinook and the Centennial. But for me it's really the tangerines and these kind of lighter tropically notes like papayas and things that are coming out of this one. Maybe a little bit of gooseberry or something, but it's the fruity character of this one for me mainly is a sort of lighter kind of tangerine orange, maybe a little bit of gooseberry, something like that. But there's a lot, pardon me, there's a lot of sort of floral and kind of grassy notes coming out from the hops of this beer. It smells really nice, but definitely in terms of the aroma it's the mosaic that's dominating that for me. But it smells really quite nice. Underneath that, of course, you can pick up some of the bready malts. There's a good bit of biscuity character to this one, and you can get a little bit of the sort of richer, you can get a little bit of that nice richer sort of biscuity kind of, you can get a little bit of that kind of richer, stronger caramel as well as the biscuitiness to the beer. But overall it's really nice. Just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck in. But we'll try this one now. So this one is the 21st birthday anniversary IPA from Victory Brewing Company over in America. Of course, the reason they've probably gone for the whole 21st birthday thing is because in America 21 to drink, which to me seems far too old. But yeah, let's get stuck into this beer then. Slanja, of course, especially to Paul over at PA Brew News. Cheers. I quite like that. That's quite a nice beer, this one. I do like the way the hops and everything come out together. I mean, you can taste a little bit with this one. It has been sitting for a little while, and of course that's one of the problems you get with Systembolaget in Sweden. It's not quite as fresh as you might be able to get it in Denmark, of course. You can taste that a little bit with it. But the floral characters and the piney resins in this one still come out really quite nicely. I just like how it all blends together. So as I always say, sugar the beer across your palate and just let your whole mouth adjust to it before you start analysing the flavour too much. But for me, the malt base is what you'd expect. You can feel a little bit of that kind of pale malt, bready character just going right across the middle of your tongue. And then there's that nice sort of biscuity kind of caramelly thing in the middle of your palate too. The richer caramel sweetness is just sitting in the very centre of your palate. You can feel some of the sort of grainy characters around the edge of your palate too. The malt base has a little bit of that kind of grainy dryness to it, which is quite interesting. But I like how that comes across. On the hoppy side of things, in the back corners of the palate I'm getting a little bit of earthiness. That's from the Mosaic in my experience. But as you come further forward along the sides of the palate, you get that nice, you can definitely pick up some of the pine resins from the Chinook in this one, but there's also the slightly spicy sort of floral aromaticity thing coming out from the Centennial that's in this one. You can feel that right on the front corners of your palate, and as you go round the very front curve of your tongue, you can pick out the kind of lighter sort of grassy notes in there as well. But it all blends together quite well. The sort of spicy floral and pine resin thing goes well together with the malt base on this one. It just makes the flavour blend together quite well. But this is a nice beer. I do like how this one comes across. In terms of the fruity side of things, as I always say, the fruits come out in that little oily bubble that you get behind the front of your palate. And it's, for me, you can actually taste, it comes out more in the flavour of this one. The grapefruit from the Chinook and the Centennial is definitely there, but as you move further and further into the aftertaste, that's when you get these slightly lighter, more orangey kind of citrus things coming out from the Mosaic in this one. You can feel the oranges just in there, and just about now is where I'm starting to get these kind of lighter tropical fruit sort of things. So you saw the last time I took a sip, and it's the gooseberries and these other little kind of lighter tropical fruit sort of things that are coming out from the Mosaic now. So you'll get the darker fruits from the bittering hops in this one a bit earlier, and then you'll get the lighter things from the Mosaic just a little bit later on into the aftertaste. But overall, it goes together quite well. In terms of the flavour, would I say this is the best beer that I've had from Victory Brewing Company? Maybe not. I mean, I have to admit, I really liked the Prima Pils and also the Helles that I had from these guys. I really enjoyed their Helles beer, so maybe it's not the best one that I've had personally from Victory Brewing Company, but I do like this one and I would drink it again. So as I always say though, beer is subjective. People like different things. For me, they've done quite a solid IPA with this one. I'd love to try this on tap actually and see how it comes across, but in terms of the style, I would recommend this one to people who like a nice big sort of spicy, sort of floral, piney aromaticity to this one. If you like the sort of old school grapefruit, pine, floral aromatic kind of thing, I think this one is going to suit you quite nicely. The Mosaic, of course, is a newer hop than Centennial and Chinook and all of that, so it does have a little bit of that kind of more modern edge to it, but to me it's a really solid beer. And I wouldn't expect anything less from Victory Brewing Company, of course. So yeah, give it a go and see what you think. In terms of the mouthfeel, I'd say this guy is it's probably mid-bodied. It's got a smooth carbonation to it. It's got quite an oily feel to it as well, actually. I would say that. There's a good hoppy bitterness to this one. Like I said, the sort of floral and spicy kind of things there. There's a bit of dryness from the malt base, but also some sweetness as well. Those two things blend together quite nicely, and there's a good bit of fruity character. Mainly it's the grapefruit that dominates the flavour, but later on you start to get these sort of lighter kind of orangey flavours too. But like I said, a really quite nice beer from Victory Brewing Company, and you wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. So if you haven't tried any of the Victory Brewing Company beers, I highly recommend you do. Like I said, my favourite one probably was the Helles that I had from them before. The Prima Pils is a nice beer as well, so I would recommend that one. Storm King, I've heard, is very good. That's one that I need to try and review in the future, because I don't think I've reviewed a dark beer from these guys, but pretty much anything you get from them is going to be pretty nice. So yeah, that's all I have to say about this beer. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. So until the next time, slander just now, and I will catch you very soon. The 21st birthday IPA from Victory Brewing Company in Downington, Pennsylvania. A really quite nice beer. Quite a bit of an old school IPA, I would say, but it does have some of that kind of nice sort of modern edge on it with the addition of the Mosaic hop. A really solid beer, and I wouldn't expect anything less from these guys. Until the next time, slander just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Cheers, and I'll catch you later.